Okay, so welcome to today's call. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I really wanted to talk about you guys, the entrepreneur. And as we know, the entrepreneur is somebody who's, through courage and effort, creates new equilibriums for society. And I think that is probably one of the most beautifully eloquent ways of putting what an entrepreneur is and what an entrepreneur can create. I think it's fantastic because we know entrepreneurs actually create things that never were. So be that a network or a group, an idea, a strategy, and they ensure wide distribution of those products or ideas and let go of old ways of doing things and take hold of new ways. Now, I've spoken in the past about the fact that what we do as direct sellers is not the norm. And certainly when we're, going out, be it as it was face-to-face or calling people as we do at the moment, the conversations we have aren't necessarily the norm. And that is what steps you massively into that. You are entrepreneurs. You're entrepreneurs that work with courage and effort to create new equilibriums for society. And I think it's really good sometimes to appreciate who you are and what you do. So entrepreneurs and Neolife. So our brand, as we know, the Neolife brand, it's been there for over 60 years. Our products, showing that we have a fantastic quality offering, products that are being able to withhold time and certainly our customers know and love them. And what that does is that gives us customer assurance. But on the other hand, we have our entrepreneurs, our promoters, you guys, who are ever evolving to meet market changes. And what we can say is we probably haven't faced a change like we have recently in many, many years. And so at the moment, being an entrepreneur and being able to evolve your business and being able to evolve your thought processes is absolutely paramount in today's circumstances. So when you have changing times, we need changing minds. And I think this is when we start looking at the root of where we are and the root of how we feel. Change naturally creates an inertia. So change itself generally creates us to just put the brakes on and say, whoa, hold on a second, what's occurring? Or we get oh, I could do that, I could do this, I could do that. Where inspiration can come from a changing circumstance that has been necessarily out of our control. So quite often we have two effects. Now remember, a lot of things can change at once. So some things will be, oh, I can do, and others will be like, hang on a sec, not quite sure. Inertia in itself creates what we call space. Now, space sometimes can be a really good thing. Space can be a time to think, an opportunity to evaluate, an opportunity to really get our thought processes in place before we take our next step. It can also be a wonderful place for staying there, a space generally known for procrastination, a space generally known for our just hold on a second and wait. Now, inspiration creates the impression of fullness. So if I'm inspired by a change and I've got something going on here, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then the thoughts start racing, the change no longer becomes the issue, the inspiration becomes the motivation to do something. So just understanding that we respond differently to change, ourselves, be it different types of change we respond differently to, and different elements of change we can respond differently to. Some will create an inertia, some will create fullness through inspiration. And it's great to understand where we are now, because ultimately we have some people who just love change, bring it on, where you get it, that buzz from it's different, it's something exciting to go and do, it's not the norm. You have others that absolutely, do you know what? I moved my chair around to do this presentation because I thought you needed a different backdrop. Bring it on. Others will think, why does it look so different? Don't understand. So again, it's just, again, understanding where you are in your change mindset. Some people kind of sit in the middle and think, oh, I need that choice. I'm not that keen on change, but I don't hate it. I just really want to know what's going on. And I really want to understand what it means to me. And so remembering you yourselves will react differently to different types of change. But ultimately, this has probably been the biggest over the last 6 weeks change that we have come across and been faced to deal with. They think about it in a way of, it was probably the biggest experiment to send everybody home to see how many people could work remotely across the world. Let's just do an experiment within a week, send everybody home and see how they get on. Those change processes generally take months and months of planning and thinking about, and then you get training on how you're going to feel and how it's going to respond. No, this was right, off you go. And so as you can imagine, a lot of people can feel very taken aback by what has happened and where we are. So looking at what has happened, and depending on obviously which country, we both have the same. We have a, well, what happened? You know, 1 minute we were sort of cruising along watching international news, and there was something looked a little bit scary over there, but it was far away and on distant shores, and you know, they were dealing with it. And then all of a sudden, you know, one day you start restricted, 2 days later you're all at home. And then, you know, your loved ones you can't interact with, you have a distance enforced on you. And when that change was made, it was very rapid and very quick. And why was it made? And who made those decisions? And actually what comes next? And then they start giving us news, and the news is all positive this, negative that, positive this, and your whole brain is switching from side to side. And what that has created in so many people and so many business is an inertia, a real, I'm just going to put the brakes on until I know what's going on. And if we're real and honest, nobody knows what's going on. You know, the NZ government are in a meeting today making it up as they go along, and hopefully they'll have decided by 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock when they've got to tell us. That's the realistic, because they haven't got anything to review back to. There is no history on this to say last time this happened, we'll do this. It's all a change process for everybody that's involved. So keeping it very, very real, to have all the answers and to be efficient in the change process would be really, really challenging at the moment. So what's happening now? What's happening for you guys now? Where are your mindsets at? What's the sort of things that are you all waiting for the next announcement? Are we so over it that it doesn't matter what's announced next? We're just gonna just ride the wave, whatever. What's the next change? And what is the next change that's going to be happening? And do you know what? I'm so not used to what we've changed to now. How can I get used to something else when I don't know where I am now? Why now? You know, I could absolutely say, why now? You know, on the road, meeting you, amazing people, visits happening, getting the opportunity to have the face-to-face and share with you the trainings and things that I brought to table, and go home. You know, why now? Could have been in another couple of years' time when we were rocking and rolling, but no. And you know, these things always challenge your thought processes. And why are we making those choices? Who decided it was a really good idea for everybody to go home? Who? Why? And do they know themselves? What will life be like is probably the biggest challenge that people have in form of change in their mindset. What will life be like? What will I be allowed to do? What will travel look like in the future? What will business meetings look like? You know, I come from an industry of self-employed where the grand standard greeting is a hug and a kiss. What's that going to look like? So there's a lot of what can life look like as we go forward. One of the things that we do know, and it's absolutely well studied, is the fact that when you go through a change process, you go through a change curve. Now, for a lot of us, we start off right at the beginning with a little bit of shock. You know, okay, this is actually now happening to us. And then there's denial that it won't make any difference, it'll be fine, it's only a couple of weeks. And then it comes into anger and blame, you know, and you heard that and saw that massively from the way that the US have gone for China, and it's all now been a blame process. It's not been a get on with it, it's been an anger and blame. I love watching the way that things are advertised and the way that news covers things, because you can see where people are in on their change curves. And so anger and blame thrown about, bargaining, and then self-blame, bargaining that you know, what's happening and why should, and then self-blame is it's you know, our government haven't done, or I shouldn't do. Then the scary one, which is the depression and the confusion. And the quickest that you can move from there through to acceptance and problem solving, the better it is for obviously your own thought processes, your own mental health and understanding. What I do know is that we haven't been given one change curve to process. We've probably given each of us in our lives a good 10 or 15 roller coasters to be on at the same time, because so many different things were impacted at the same time. So you don't just have a one impact. What you do have is many impacts that come across from the one decision. And I think sometimes that in itself can be quite challenging to understand and quite challenging to get used to, is actually what stage am I at with what? And you know what? The best and safest place for me to be is stuck in that space of not moving forward and that space of not moving back. I'm just going to stay here, steady Eddie, not going to change anything, not going to make any decisions, not going to do anything because I don't know. And you know what? That's where a safe space becomes, but it really doesn't help you move forward into slipping through that curve and back out at the beginning. So simply put, you can't just flick a switch on where your emotions are. You can't just flick a switch on your business, on your life, and where your thought processes are. This is something that actually takes positive action to change. One of the things that I love is that you can't calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is calm yourself, and the storm itself will pass. And how you do that and how you work that through in your thought processes is very, very clear. It's a good old-fashioned trick, but honestly, this is something that really works. What I want you to do is, if you've got a pen and paper in front of you, is to draw a circle in the middle that you can write some things in, and then draw a bigger circle on the outside. And in the middle, you have your circle of control. What is actually in my control? What can I do to change things for me? What am I in control of to make my life the way that I need it to be for me right now, and to help me progress forward with my business, to help me progress forward in my life, and to be able to live very happily within my circle of control. I love it when you look at the inside of the circle of control, because there's actually in such a change process that we've just been hit into, there are actually some things that it should be in your circle of control that aren't. And do you remember I mentioned earlier that blame and that well, it should be, but it's not. And that's things like where you work, where you live. Those things were removed from what would absolutely normally be within our circle of control. Now, again, only temporarily, but even though that temporary shift, I may never even have thought of wanting to move, and I certainly don't want to change my job, but the fact that somebody out there said that you can't do that makes you still feel a little bit like, oh, I love where I live, I love what I do, but you've taken it out of my control. But the things that you do, how you exercise, again, some of that slightly changed. You know, people that really like to go out and motorsports and things, it's not possible anymore, not at the moment. But what you eat, as long as it was available in the shops, is in your control. How you live your life within your own home and in your own bubble is absolutely in your control. What is out of your control? What is the circle of things that we think about, but actually it is a process of using your mind to try and rationalize what is being done to, not what is being done by, things that are completely out of your control. And I love it. You've obviously got the economy. You know, the economy is a wave of which we ride natural disasters, and there's nothing you can do, and you never know they're coming, and there's nothing you can do about them when they're here. Health issues, which comes down to absolutely where we are, and you could probably put natural disasters into our current situation. You can't change how tall you are, no matter how much you try. Traffic, the weather, and I love the fact that it says the celebrity mating habits. I think that's wonderful. I can't change those either. But what you can change is the things that are in your control, and what you can change is the way that you look at the things out of your control. I can't change them, so the energy that I put into them is wasted. So how can I redirect my energy into things of which I can control? Because that's where it's the best resource that I've got, is focusing on what's going to impact me that's within my control. One of the key things when you're at a time of change is actually, do you know what? Focus on what can make you happy. Because avoiding that big slump down the bottom there as you go through your change curve is so important. And being able to focus on what really makes you happy can make a big difference in the way that you approach your life, you approach your business. So they say a person just needs 3 things to be truly happy in this world. Someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for. And I see that as, honestly, when you really break everything down to the lowest common denominators, those 3 things are absolutely the key to just feeling happy. And I think with so much being stripped from our lifestyles over the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, we can absolutely agree that there's an awful lot of things that you don't actually have to do to stay happy. But having your loved ones around you, having something to keep your mind occupied and something to do, and then something to hope for and look forward to can be key. So helping the world to be a healthier and happier place is what we at Neolife do. It's our motto, it's our slogan, it's everything that encompasses what we are as a business. There's something to do is our purpose. Having a purpose within Neolife and something to look forward to is the fact that we have such a positive purpose. If you think about helping the world to be a healthier and happier place, is a fantastic purpose to have, and it's a purpose that has longevity and hope for the future. And so just looking at our business, if you like, it is made as a place of happiness. It is made as somewhere of which actually, you know what, the ethics behind the business drive the end result. What we quite often do when we get to a change process is think, ooh, got to learn something new. And this quite often is for people that come up with those inspirations, got to do this, got to do that, got to learn something new. So what I might do is just change my way around and you know, I'm going to focus on learning some new skills. I'm going to focus on actually getting the knowledge that I need to make this change possible for me. And there's a big thing around that is I need to know how. I need to know how. I need to know how to do it. I need to know exactly the ins and outs. I need to get a grip with the do's and don'ts, because actually learning is a really safe place. It means I'm really, really busy. I'm busy doing something. I'm busy learning, which is fantastic because I need to learn. But actually, what we need is the confidence more than learning. Because when we think about the skills that we already have, what is it we need to learn? What is it that actually drives us to need to learn more when we're going through change? Just remember, you're not defined by what you learned, you're defined by what you do. As an individual, we absolutely are defined by the actions that we take, the things that we say, and the changes that we made in life. Nobody was ever laid to rest and on their stone was they knew so much. They read all the books in the library. It was generally how much they loved or what they achieved. And so I really urge you to actually, what do you know already? You know loads. There's so many things that you know how to do already. There's so many skills that you have in your toolbox, deep, and some of them might need pulling out and dusting off and giving a little bit of a shake, but they're skills that you've learnt along the way that you have. So think about, what do you know already? You've got your circle of what's in your circle and what's out of your circle. Now think about, make a note to write a list of what do I know how to do already? What do you know that you're not doing? Because quite often if we actually list down our how-tos, we've got lots of things that we know how to, but we're just not actually doing them at the moment. It doesn't mean we don't know how, and it doesn't need me more training, but it does mean that there's something that's perhaps getting in the way. My quickest piece of advice or suggestion along the road there is, how much more would you know if you just started doing? How much do we learn when we actually get our feet under the table and get stuck in? When we actually start attempting to achieve something, how much we actually learn by doing. Now, be that our first sign up online, and you know, I've got a URL and I can share that, but where do I go from here? Well, when you start and when you've got that person, the process kind of falls into place. And you know what the great thing is, for any holes in that learning, there are plenty of people on the end of the phone or online that are able to help and support. But we'll never know how if we don't just go there. We're looking at a product and we're thinking, oh, you know, this product's absolutely fantastic, but I don't know all the ins and outs, and I don't necessarily know all the medical terms. Doesn't matter. Is it something that really works for you? Because if it is, you can share it with passion. Remember, something you learn is truly not a skill until it's applied. So if over this time you have dedicated your time to picking up and learning new things, until you actually put it into place, it's not a skill. It's just something that's learnt and it's in a notebook or it's a thought, but it's not a skill. So being able to put something down and say, right, that's what I'm doing, and crack on and give it a go, starts developing a new skill for you. So in sum, knowledge acquisition without application is a form of adult procrastination. I didn't know that I could get so many long words into one sentence in one time, but I did. And it's simple, because what we can do is quite often have that, I'm lost in myself. I can't just flick a switch and change this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change what I know. But if I keep looking to change what I know and never put anything into place, I'm actually truly to myself procrastinating. So think hard and long. What do I already know? You probably could make a list as long as you're on, but if you just listed down 5 things that are key to your business that you already know how to do, and then tick on them, how many of those are you just not doing at the moment? What could you get back to start doing? Think back at the learnings that you've had over the last 4 to 5 weeks and what you can apply. And then subsequently, that moves you from knowledge to application. The other thing that's so key, because there never is, don't wait for the perfect moment. There is never a perfect moment to be able to step forward and take action. It's never going to be there. And particularly now with so much change process going on, worrying about what's going to change out of our circle, out of our area of ability to control, never going to do anything. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Make a moment, make it perfect, so that you personally are in control of what you do and when you do it, which is great to have back that control. One of the things that I do say, and it really key, we at the beginning of the year when we started talking together more so, we started looking at goals and looking at some nice goals, some great goals, and goals that actually gave you that tingling, that inspirational feeling, that real feeling of, you know, when I achieve this, how great is it going to feel? And some of them were quite chunky and meaty, and they were big goals, and that's great. And they need to still sit there ready for later, because you're going to get to them. But creating some real tiny goals in between will help us build that momentum that we need to be able to step forward and be able to change our process into doing and action and gaining results. So tiny goals, think of little stepping stones that you've got that could be achievement for you, that would feel great. And then those, as you step through them, are what will gain you that momentum and gain you that position of being able to step forward and grow to those bigger goals as you get them. So I'm going to also share with you, and these things I'm going to say are probably on the easy and simple, and you've all heard before. Remember, I said this isn't necessarily about new learning, new stuff to learn. This is about digging out the stuff that really works and reminding ourselves why we did it, and what it helps us for. So the first thing that I would say is, if you're looking to step yourself from where you are at the moment and put yourself in a great mindset and start yourself growing and start your business growing, the first thing is do a to-do list. Now, I'm going to say at the moment, with where we are, a to-do list no more than 5 things. If your to-do list goes on to 2 full-scap A4 pages, you're never going to get to it. And it's going to feel so huge and so daunting. It's just never going to be a task you want to start, because you can never see the end of it. But having 5 things. Now, I'm also a great believer you're all self-employed. So those 5 things should be a mix of business and other stuff. So hopefully there'll be 1 or 2 things on there that are Neo-Life business, which would be fantastic. And you've got other businesses as well that you could well be managing. So that might be 1 or 2 things other business and 1 thing personal. So that there are 5 things in that day that you are looking to achieve. Now, my biggest learning that I ever did is I always do a to-do list, even if there's so many things that I carried forward that I've not achieved, but I'm working on, and other things that I did achieve that weren't on the list. I always do a to-do list every evening before I finish. So when I think that's it, I'm done for the day, now I'm going to put my feet up, I want to go and get the dinner on, feed the dogs and all of those things. The first thing that before I can do that, I do myself a to-do list. Because what I'm doing is I'm teaching my mind, it's going to have a clear understanding of what tomorrow is going to look like. I'm not at tomorrow. I don't need to think about tomorrow now, because I've written it down and I've planned it. I've got my simple 5 things to do. And those I'm going to tick off, and I might just think, you know, which order do I want to put them in? That's great. But I've got my things to do, and I'm going to tick them off on my to-do list. So when I put that to-do list down, knowing that I'm going to look at it first thing in the morning, I don't now think of all the things that would normally run through my mind. I can't forget to do that tomorrow. I need to do that tomorrow. It's down on the list. And so generally my evenings are far more relaxed, and I'm able to switch off because I know that I can flick the switch back to work tomorrow morning because I've got my tasks in hand ready for tomorrow. So tomorrow morning I will get up, do my morning chores and face my to-do list. And my best and most successful way of working with a to-do list is literally work 1 to 5. Do the biggest one that you don't want to do first. Everybody always tells you that, but it's so true. So if there's a big job on there that you're not looking forward to facing because one of the jobs was empty out the fridge and give it a good clean, that's the biggest job. So I'm going to tackle that one first, get that one done first thing in the morning. Then I'm going to move on to writing whatever or reading whatever or contacting whoever I need to contact, phone the 2 people that I've put on my leads list, whatever that looks like, but I'll tackle through that list until it's done. Now that done for you guys being self-employed, that done could be an hour, could be 2 hours, could be 5 hours. It might vary each day depending on what you put on your list that you want to achieve. After I've done it, I eat cake. My favorite thing in the world, cake. The most colourful, unhealthy, unbalanced, unnutritious thing possible. But just think of it. When you've had success and you've achieved your to-do list, the best thing to do, and I phrase it eat cake, and I very rarely have cake in the cupboard or get the chance to eat cake, to be honest with you, but it's treat yourself. Do something or treat yourself with something that really makes a difference, because by treating yourself, what you are doing is saying, I've done my to-do list, I'm happy with what I've achieved, and now I'm in treat zone. And that becomes a habit. And it's not always eating. It might be, do you know what? I'm going to go outside and I'm going to drink my cup of tea in the sunshine for 10 minutes this afternoon because it's beautiful. I'm just going to go and watch the birds in the garden because that's a happy space. But what you do is you feel accomplished. You feel challenged at the beginning of the day because you had a list of things to do. You then feel accomplished because you've succeeded and you're stepping your way through those tiny goals that you set yourself and gaining momentum. Gaining momentum means that after I've had my treat, whatever my treat might look like, commonly known as eat cake, but it's not literal eat cake. It's just have something of which is great to do. Then what I do, I write tomorrow's to-do list. So I know tomorrow I've got 5 more things that I will be challenged by, work through, succeed through, then eat more cake. So that is a simple step through how to take ourselves from a crazy change process that we're in and that we've been in, a crazy place in our minds, which is perfectly acceptable, that there are so many things going on and we're all in so many different thought processes being pulled from pillar to post. How to help you to rationalize it. If it's within my control, I'll work on that. But if it's out of my control, I've got to work on just letting it go, because no matter how much it upsets me, riles me, makes me angry, frustrates me, I can't change it. So that energy needs drawing back into your inner circle where there are things that you can do and things that you can change. Focusing your energy away now from learning and forward to actually doing, helping you doing more throughout your day, which in turn will make you feel better, which in turn means you'll be able to do more throughout your day. And that's a great way of how to feel great, because you know what, it feels good to get some stuff done, and it doesn't matter what that stuff is. And as I say today, I'm absolutely seeing that there could be some great neo-life things that you could put into place, the calls that you haven't been able to make because you haven't quite felt like it, getting your Facebook up and running, getting a bit of social media going. It all seems maybe too big a leap. Just do your profile first. If you're not sure, give me a shout. We'll take a look together. Just spend 10 minutes. The next day, upload some photos. The next day, do your bio. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. It can be little steps which absolutely make you feel good because you're getting stuff done. You're then cruising with a new profile, a new page, and certainly some new opportunities then to speak to people. Because once you feel good by doing some of those things, you will feel great once you've got the opportunity to speak to some new people about near life. So in simple terms, change, as we know, is inevitable, even to the point of there can be so much of it. Where you are on that change curve can be all over the place for so many different things. Focus really carefully on what you can control. And after we finish this call, do have a look at what is inside your circle, because you're actually in control of a lot of things still. And focus on the happiness and the positive, the things that you can do. Remember, purpose and hope, as well as a good sprinkle of love, are what make us happy. It's not the things that I can go and buy. It's not anything designer. It's not anything material. It's purpose and hope and a good sprinkle of love. Balance, knowledge and application. It's great to learn things. It really is. But you learn things, you put them into place. That's fantastic. The one thing that I worry about is knowledge acquisition at the moment is because our minds are so full of other stuff. And I'm going to say other stuff with media input, with change, with opinions, with spoof stuff all over the place, not knowing right from wrong, having so much sort of focus in our minds at the moment. It's really difficult to properly learn anything anyway. You know, any teacher, anybody who is in that learning or academic place would say a good, clear, calm frame of mind helps you learn. So to be an absolute mashup as we are today, it's not a great place to go and learn new stuff. Get your mind clear and get that focus to be able to learn anything new. But remember, it isn't a real learning until it's become a skill, and you don't gain a skill until you've managed to apply it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. There isn't going to be one. I can certainly say now, for a very long time, there isn't going to be a perfect moment, because we're going to be in such a an upsy downy type of environment with economy, with change, with what we can and can't do. Don't wait for that perfect moment. Just create it. Make it your own. Make it happen. Stick with some tiny goals. That doesn't mean that you've shelved and never going to go back to that big goal. It just means that you've popped it on the side and you're going to build the stepping stones back up to it. But those tiny goals to get you into the right place. My phrase, to do, cake, to do. So make sure that you do yourself a to-do list. Then when you've done your to-do list, give yourself some form of reward or something of which you love doing. Go do it. And then do tomorrow's to-do list. And then finally, focus on how good you feel. By putting some simple steps into action, the change in how you will feel will in itself perpetuate the positiveness that you're bringing. So that's everything from me. Back to you guys as the entrepreneurs. The opportunity to make change, the opportunity to inspire, and the opportunity to make the world a happier and a healthier place. We have that opportunity through sharing our products. We have that opportunity. It is our purpose. And our hope is to enable so many people across the world to be able to benefit. We have the knowledge of our products. We just potentially need to focus a little bit more on application. What are we going to do with the knowledge that we have? How are we going to share it? How are we going to make sure everybody we come across in any form of interaction understands that we have got a product that raises your immunity by 37%? You know, it's one of those that you absolutely have to say, needs to be out there. Let's make sure everybody knows now more than ever. Let's not wait for that perfect moment. Let's make it now. Let's create it. Let's have a joint perfect moment, because that's absolutely what we can do. Enough people getting out the message there at the same time makes a difference. And don't forget, finally, for us to be able to celebrate together and feel good, because that's key. So thank you all for coming on. I did say that today's webinar was going to be a little bit different. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it useful for your own learning curves, for your own change processes. And hopefully you'll find some keywords in there that help you to move your business forward and to certainly inspire more people to have a happier and healthier life through the Neo Life products. So thank you all so much. Take care. Bye.